What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Big Man on Campus podcast. I'm your host, the Big Man on Campus, here on a Friday, July 20th, 2018. Breaking down the night in baseball. Won't go through every game. Don't have an opinion on every game. Throw out a couple games that I like. We'll chat a little football. Really just take your questions. Whatever you want to talk about, we will do it. A lot to get into. Obviously, the football season is coming. It's very soon. We're going to be here before we know it. Got a lot to talk about with that. NFL, college football. You want to talk baseball? We could do that. Second half. You want to talk about college hoops? Whatever you want to talk about, we will do. Also, Black Jack Fletcher will join us. We haven't talked to him in a while. We'll see what he's been up to over the last few months. We haven't chatted much with Blackjack. Him and I haven't been doing the call-in show, so we'll catch up to him, see how his summer's been going. We'll hear from him and, talk a little Big Three, whatever you want, soccer. So feel free to send in any questions you might have now. If you can, retweet it. I see Donnie Rightside did that. Thanks, Donnie, my partner in crime. And Donnie Rightside and I have some big things planned coming up. So please let us know or find us when that happens, and we'll get you aboard. It's going to be fun. Got a lot of things planned, and I got a big announcement coming. I've been telling people about it, separate from Donnie. So I think some people will be happy about it. Some people won't, but we'll see. We'll see what's going to go on, I'll do what I have to do, as they say. Let's chat a little baseball here. I'm looking at two plays tonight. Again, I've made it clear, I don't bet baseball incredibly serious. I have in the past. This year with the World Cup and with everything else going on, I just never really got into it deeply, kind of from the beginning. I had a couple, weeks and stretches where I really went hard with it and enjoyed it. But with the World Cup and with other things going on, I just, I kind of lost track of it. But, I still keep up with the sport. I still know what's going on. And, there's some interesting spots tonight, obviously coming off the break. We do have a game going on in progress right now. The St. Louis Cardinals are absolutely destroying the Cubs, 15-1 in the sixth inning. I think this is 12-1 in the fifth inning. The Cubs are just getting absolutely destroyed in this game. Cardinals finally, it's funny because I'm sure no one, the Cardinals are just one of the more inconsistent, weird teams in baseball. Cubs have 2 hits today. They've just been absolutely dominated by Jack Flaherty. Big day offensively for the Cubs, or for Cardinals. I'm sorry. I think Matt Carpenter has a couple home runs today. I think he's got that's 3 home runs for Matt Carpenter today. Wow. Impressive stuff. He's also got a double. He's had a huge game today for St. Louis. Carpenter 5 for 5, 7 RBIs. Impressive stuff. He's made a mincemeat of Cubs pitching today. He is raking for sure. Couple things here tonight. 2 plays I'm kind of having my eye on. I definitely am looking towards Seattle tonight, maybe minus 1.5. You look at James Shields. James Shields has been really poor on the road. That's, I think, one thing you got to keep your eye on. Shields has really been poor. I mean, you look at his 1-5 and ERA over 6. He just had major issues away from Chicago. This is also a team that's 14-33 away from home. They're only hitting .234 against lefties. And look, Wade LeBlanc has been very good. Seattle kind of needed to break a little bit. They had lost 4 in a row. 2 of which they gave up 10 runs or more. They needed the break. They need to get some R&R, get back at it. LeBlanc has been terrific. But you're looking for him to kind of come in here and right the ship a little bit. Look at his last 10 and 3rd. He's given up 8 runs and 11 hits, 4 home runs. One of those was in Colorado, though, so you don't really take it too seriously. But I mean, Wade LeBlanc at home is 8-0. They're 8-0, and he's 5-0 with an ERA of 2.35. He has been terrific at Safeco. So for me, I would think about laying the run line here. The one concern I have with the run line in Seattle is you look at it in the 31 home wins this year, the 31-17 at home. Only 17 have come by 2 or more runs. So I'm not I'm not huge at laying the run line with Seattle, but I figure in this one, I expect them to jump on Shields a little bit. They should have plenty of opportunities to score runs here. The big thing that I'm concerned about would be, their inability to win by 2 or more runs. But I think for me, that's probably one play to take a look at. Maybe a first 5 minus a half. That might be something to take a look at here. But I don't want to lay too much juice here if I don't have to. By laying the run line, I don't necessarily have to do that. One other one, Cleveland. I think they're obviously on the radar. As far as Brad Hand, look, I mean, he was signed yesterday. I would think, I would imagine Brad Hand would be available. I don't know, especially as far as when this when this trade actually went through. Maybe he won't be, but I'm looking at this game more along the lines of, kind of without Brad Hand, because I'm looking at taking this first 5. I'm not looking at getting involved with bullpens here because I don't know what Brad Hand's status is. You look at Trevor Bauer outage as they call him. He has just been absolutely fantastic. A 2.08 opponent average. I mean, 20 starts. This guy's ERA is 2.24. I mean, pretty impressive. I mean, the whip is just above 1. I mean, Cleveland's very good against lefties too, 16-10. They're going to get 9 at-bats here. They're scoring over 5 runs a game against lefties. I mean, the 9 at-bats don't matter much if you're going for the first 5, but I mean, you look at the first 5 here. Let me try to find a line for that here. What the fuck's an issue here? Sorry, guys. I'm having a little trouble with finding this line for some reason. Bear with me 1 second. Let me grab SBR odds here. That would be kind of where I'm looking here because I want to isolate Martin Perez against Bauer. And Martin Perez, I mean, this opponent's written 365 this year against Martin Perez. I mean, it's not been pretty for Martin. So, for me, I'm not really running to the window. I'm running to the window to bet against Martin Perez. So I would probably look at a first 5 minus a half in this one. I want to isolate Bauer against Perez. I don't necessarily want to grab that Indian bullpen until I know that I'm going to see Brad Hand in that lineup. There we go. Minus 140. All right. Not in love with that, but I'm getting 90 at bats, so maybe I'll take the run line. What do you think of Liverpool's signings this year? Look, I like them. The problem with Liverpool is, Jurgen Klopp is really kind of stacking his eggs in one basket because if he doesn't win with this side and how much money he's put into this team, he's going to get the axe. I mean, you can't spend all this money and not win a trophy. You just can't. I mean, you bring in Allison Becker, which obviously was a need. Do I want to spend $65 million on a goalie? I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a problem. Obviously, if you look at the Champions League final, I mean, Karius just wasn't good enough. You need a big-time goalkeeper. You look at what they've done in defense. I mean, bringing in Virgil van Dijk last year. Dejan Lovren, I'd hope that the way he was in the World Cup continues. He's had his trouble in the Premier League. You would think that's maybe fixed. I mean, Andy Robertson was very good in games last year. Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold's a very good young player. So I think defensively, they're fine. You look at the other moves they made, bringing in Fabinho. Obviously, that's a big-time midfielder that you can add. Shaqiri, which obviously I like being Albanian. Jordan Shaqiri needed to be at a big side. He needed to be with players that are at the level that he is. And I think he's going to help. Naby Keita, all I've heard is Naby Keita is ridiculously fast, and he's going to be huge for them. So, look, they made some really good moves. Maybe not necessarily a huge names, but very solid names that I'm excited about. Obviously, up front, you're still very good with Salah, Firmino, and Mane. They shouldn't miss a beat. The only thing that they've strengthened is that defense. I mean, that was one of the big things they needed to do, and they've been able to do that. So for me, I'm excited about the Liverpool that we're getting, but I think Jurgen Klopp's going to have some problems if this team doesn't win. That's a concern because you can't spend this amount of money and not win. So we'll see. I'd expect Liverpool second in the league, maybe top 3 in the league. I'd expect them to do very well at the Champions League level. Who do I think will win the league? Well, I think there's a lot of teams that can win the league. Obviously, my favorite would be Manchester City to win the league. I think Arsenal is going to be much better. The problem that Arsenal's having is they're not a Champions League team, so it's difficult to get huge names to go to Arsenal because they don't have Champions League football. Chelsea, no. I don't think Tottenham can win the league. I think that the teams that can win the league are City, Liverpool, um, Man United, and I believe Arsenal can get into the top four. I do. But this Man City team, I mean, is pretty stacked. I mean, defensively they're very good, as we know. They have the best midfield in the world, probably, or one of the best, with Kevin De Bruyne. Don't forget Leroy Sané. He didn't have to play World Cup this year, so he's obviously fit. Sterling obviously was huge. Jesus and Aguero up front. I'm sure they'll still make moves. I'm sure. They're pretty impressive, this team. So I would pick them to win the league. But I think Arsenal's made some really good moves to strengthen and fortify that club. Feel free to send in any other questions you might have. A lot of people listening. Hit the like button and say hello. Listen, I mean, Wolves I'm very high on. I'm excited about Wolves this year. But, I mean, look, do I think they can win the league? I didn't make that bet to think that they could win the league. I was getting great number on that, and I went with it. Do I necessarily think Wolves is good enough to win the league? No. I mean, I think you'd be a fool to think that. But do I think they could finish top 7? Yeah. Top 6? Sure. I mean, we have to get to the realization that Wolves is a pretty decent club. They got a lot of money behind them. They've got a really good goalie in Rui Patricio. Ruben Neves is fantastic. I mean, they have some Diego Yota and Raul Jimenez. They're a good team. They're a good side. They're well coached. Santo's a great manager, and they have a lot of money behind them. So, do I think it's possible that Wolves win this? No, I don't. But I could see a situation where they're very relevant for sure. Who's getting relegated? Well, I mean, listen, I mean, when you're looking at relegation, you obviously are going to focus on bad teams. I think Burnley could get relegated this year, which is amazing because they're in the Europa League. But I think they're going to put a lot of their eggs in that basket. As far as who I believe will be relegated, I would definitely say Cardiff will be relegated. Cardiff has a really poor team. I mean, they have no business in this league. The Championship this year coming in is also very poor. But yeah, Cardiff, I believe, will get relegated. I think Huddersfield, I think they may have worn out their welcome. I thought they're pretty lucky to step this year. I don't really see how they've gotten much better, really. I think they're a definite candidate for sure. They're actually, I think, second to get relegated. So Cardiff, Huddersfield. I mean, you look at some moves Huddersfield made. I mean, bringing in Ramadan Sabai from Stoke, not a bad move. He's a pretty decent forward. You still have Aaron Moy and Mounier. So, I mean, I guess they're not terrible, but I mean, it's going to be hard to continue to repeat what they did last year. Who else? I don't know. Fulham, I want to say can stay up just because they do have the money behind them now. I think, Mitrovic is really good. I think it's going to be between them and Watford Football Club. And Watford really struggled last year away from home. I mean, I wouldn't count Brighton out, but I'll say right now to get relegated will be Cardiff, Huddersfield, and, I don't know. I think Brighton at some point is going to go back down. I don't think their brand of football works. That whole, let's sit in front of the goal and defend. Eventually you're going to have to score some goals. And they just remind me too much of like Middlesbrough and West Bromwich Albion and those kind of sides. At least with Watford, you have some ability to score goals there. They had some stretches last year where they were really impressive. So I'll go Cardiff, Huddersfield, and Brighton as my teams get relegated. But that's not set in stone just yet. Yeah, Southampton's poor as well. Liverpool's transfers look amazing. They could win the league. Yeah, I mean, NS, welcome in. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'll definitely have something on them to win the league. Champions League, I expect them to be right there as well. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Blackjack Fletcher will join us in a little bit here to see what he's been up to. If you know me, you know I've done some shows with Blackjack Fletcher over the last year or so. I know he's doing a lot of stuff with the Action Network, and football's coming. So, I figured we'd catch up with him, see what his story is, see if he likes anyone tonight. What do I think about the Phillies this year? Well, I think they struck out on Machado. I mean, I think if you could add him, you would have been the favorite to win the division. You're just one or two players away, really. I just think offensively, I don't think they're good enough. If they could find a way to improve offensively, yeah, I think their pitching's fine, and I think they'll be okay. But they've just not been good enough on the offensive side. That's been my big issue with the Phillies. There's no, bell cow. I mean, you look at runs per game. I mean, 20th. I mean, hits per game. You're down in 26th. You look at batting average. I mean, you're down in the, you're at 26th. On base percentage is 12th. I mean, somewhat good, but I mean, everything else you're just not. Your slugging percentage is pretty low. Also, I mean, you're slugging 24. I mean, a lot of these numbers. I think what we're common theme here is they're not good enough. So, I need to see more out of them. They struck out. I mean, I guess if you look at the whole if they wanted to win, which I don't think they can anyway, but I didn't think they were too far off. I mean, they are right at first place basically. To make the playoffs is not going to be that difficult, really. And the NL is not particularly good as a whole anyway. So as far as them not being ready to compete, I'm not sure I'm ready to say that. I know Donnie thinks that. And look, if you're looking at the Phillies and you don't think they can compete, then, fine. I mean, wait for the offseason and sign them in the offseason. You don't have to give up a ton. But, look, I mean, at the end of the day, if your goal, was to go deep into the playoffs, I don't think it was out of the question to think that they could. So, well, all right. I mean, fair enough. But, that's one of the problems that this town's had. It never seems like anyone's good enough. It's always about next year. I mean, at some point, when are we gonna address it and win? Like, I heard this same song and dance with the Sixers. They'll sign people in the offseason. Just be patient. Didn't sign anyone. I mean, I think people are sick of waiting here. So for me, at some point you gotta pay the piper. It's always, they'll get him in the offseason. I heard all winter. We're going to get LeBron. They're going to add in LeBron. They're going to be fine. They didn't add LeBron. Then I heard, Kawhi Leonard's coming. Kawhi Leonard never came. Paul George is coming. Don't worry. Never got him. They haven't done anything. And the Phillies I hope, don't go down the same road. We'll get Machado when free agency comes up. Well, let's make sure we get him then, because you had the chance here on a pretty good team and you weren't able to get the job done. So we'll see. Blackjack Fletcher, how are you, pal?
What's happening, my man? How we doing?
Oh, doing well. I wanted to check in with you and see what you were up to. How you been, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Sitting out here enjoying a lovely summer Friday afternoon.
I like that. I like it. Yeah, very nice on the East Coast. It's sunny. It's not too humid.
Nope.
Very, very nice out. So what have you been up to, Blackjack? We haven't talked to you for a while. Obviously we've been off with the Viva La Vega show. How you been? What's been up with you?
I've been spectacular, bouncing back and forth between here and Ace, doing a bunch of stuff out there. Writing different things, doing the ESPN Plus show, obviously. I'll take that bet. So got a lot going on. Football season around the corner, thank God.
Yeah, football season is around the corner. I got to tell you, and I know you had kind of, once basketball ended, you had the Golden Knights, and we had the NBA Finals, and even the World Cup made up for a little bit. But this summer, now that everything's kind of wrapped up, I mean, we got, and Vegas is generally a throwaway month. So you got about a month or so.
Yeah.
But you know what's great? You can always talk about football, get ready for football. So you don't have to worry about it. But I know you, like me, are kind of, I mean, I think you can admit baseball's not your favorite sport to
No,
handicap. It's not
no,
mine either.
it is not.
Right. So, it's nice to at least have football to talk about. Can you let us know about anything you got going on that you're working on? I mean, I know people are excited about your ascent. So, do you have anything you're looking? I know you and I are going to get back together here pretty soon.
Yeah. We'll be bringing our show back soon. I'm going to be working on probably sort of like an instant reaction NFL podcast with Jeff Schwartz
Nice.
that we'll record on Sunday nights so that we can recap everything that's happened on Sunday and kind of give you a primer for Monday Night Football. So we're going to be working on that. We've got a few more video projects in the works. Who knows, man? It's limitless. I'm trying to find my way next month down to Memphis, Tennessee. It's the anniversary of Elvis's death. I'm going to try to hunt his ghost. So there's a lot going on.
Blackjack always full of adventures. I love it. Yeah, I figure we'll be back, you and I, pretty soon. I know, obviously football's coming. I mean, as far as the NFL, Blackjack, I mean, what are you most excited about? I mean, do you have your eye on any team? You have your eye on anything, as we come into the season?
I mean, look, I think the Eagles played their offseason perfectly. Coming off a Super Bowl win, I think that they played it about as well as you could have. I think the Giants, I've said this, I've been saying this for months now. It's really one of the few over-under totals that I love, is I like the Giants over 6.5 wins. I just don't see, with Beckham back, with Randall back, with Evan Ingram getting better, a new head coach, and Saquon Barkley, how this team doesn't go at least 7-9. I just can't really comprehend that. So I'm curious to see how they do. Otherwise, man, the AFC to me is pretty much a foregone conclusion. I think it's New England and Pittsburgh again. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying Jacksonville. It's Blake Bortles and Doug Marrone. Like, you can have them. Great defense, but it's Bortles and Marrone. And the NFC to me is wide open. That's going to be the curious part to me, because obviously the Eagles are defending champs. The Vikings were in the NFC title game. They add Kirk Cousins. The Saints have gotten a year better. I like the addition of Marcus Davenport in the draft. The Rams, you'll see if they can sustain it. The NFC to me is where it's going to be really interesting.
No, you're totally right. I mean, I think, the Jags are, I mean, that defense is ridiculous. It's just a shame they don't have that dead set quarterback that they can grab. And, it was kind of a situation that the Denver Broncos have had the last couple of years. No legitimate quarterback. I think they're a team that we really need to keep our eyes on. I think Denver's a team that Denver and Houston, I'm very high on as we come into the season. As far as in the NFC, I think obviously the LA Rams are obviously a team that we have to very much keep our eyes on. I think they're a team that can really do wonders this year. I mean, you just wonder about cohesion. That's really the big question mark with that. But as far as on that side of defensively, there's a lot of big time names there.
Absolutely, defensively, the offense worries me though. I mean, they lost Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
I want to see Jared Goff. Now he's going to play a first place schedule. That's the other thing with the Jaguars too. They're playing a first place schedule this year, not a last place schedule. So, let me see what Jared Goff does against top defenses, because I'm still not totally sold on him.
Yeah, we got a commenter here, and I actually agree with the commenter. He's saying he's kind of curious why Blackjack is high on the Davenport edition. I got to tell you, I didn't understand that decision. I thought it was one of the worst decisions. Not so much the player, but what they did to get to that player was a big head scratcher.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
But I think on the field, the kid's going to be a really good player. But
I do too.
I like it at Blackjack quickly to Ndamukong Suh. The Miami Dolphins spent $100 million on Ndamukong Suh when they had much more pressing issues. At the end of the day, we have to understand a defensive lineman is not going to win you a football game. He's just not. He's not going to take the ball at the end of the game and get you a touchdown. He's going to help you. He's going to be very good for you, but he's not going to help you. Sometimes I'm numb on taking big shots with players like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right that they, where they took him and how they got to there, I would agree with. But I think he's going to fit in well on their roster, and I like the fact that their defense is younger. I think Michael Thomas is going to establish himself as maybe the best wideout in the NFC this year. And Drew Brees is still doing it, man. I mean, he can still do it. And until he falls off, I'm not going to believe that he's going to. You know what I mean? Like, I got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind you still have Alvin Kamara there. You know, the interesting thing about the you talked about the Rams. I mean, is Jared Goff ready to take that big time next step? I mean, he was good last year, but he had some problems at times too. Is he that guy going forward? He's got plenty of weapons. It's his team. You know, we'll see. But yeah, Drew Brees you mentioned obviously is still a gamer. He's still doing huge things. And the Giants, you know, one other thing with the Giants, I mean, you're right. I mean, they're really good. I mean, the only concern you have is the right side of that offensive line good enough?
Yeah.
They have a really good left side with Hernandez and Solder, but is that right guard, right tackle, and center, are they good enough? Because that can really hamstring you. If you can't if you can isolate one side and say, well, these guys can't block, you know, we're just going to stack, you know, both sides, just make you know, things work. It could be a big problem for you. But Blackjack, it's always good to hear from you, man. You look like you're enjoying life, and it's always fun to see. I'm excited to get back on the show. One other thing before we let you go, Blackjack, if you remember back, I don't know, a couple months ago, that guy that called in and said that the Browns would win 9 games. I forget his name.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
The guy from Cleveland.
Josh, I think.
Josh, yeah, you're right. I think it was Josh, yeah. I wonder if we'll ever hear from him again. I'd always like to hear where he's at now with them. But we'll see. Cleveland will be up on Hard Knocks. We'll get to watch them front and center.
That'll be fun.
Anything, Blackjack, you're looking at this weekend that you want to let people know about?
No, man. With baseball, I'm taking it one day at a time. So everything that I put out, you can find on the Action Network and the Sports Action app. But you know, nothing for the future for tonight. I'll tell you, I like that Mariners laying a half a run in the first 5. LeBlanc's on the mound against Shields, and Shields has just been awful on the road. ERA over 6 away from Chicago.
How about that, Blackjack? I literally just went over that game, and it said the same stuff. What are you reading my emails again?
No, I mean, you can't lay the -200. I'm not going to lay the run line full game, but I'll lay a half a run in the first 5 and get some of that juice back.
I couldn't agree with you more, Blackjack. As always, good to talk to you. Glad to see you're doing well. You can follow Blackjack on Twitter at BlackjackFletch. He's always a good follow. Always is doing some interesting things. And you can find him also on the Action Network. I'm sure I'll see much more Blackjack throughout the fall. Blackjack, have a good weekend, man.
Take it easy, brother.
See you, buddy. Blackjack Fletcher chiming in from Long Island, New York. You can find him on the Action Network, where he is a blogger, does all sorts of stuff for them. And yeah, also the host of the Viva La Vegas podcast that me and him do during the big seasons. Also was my traveling partner down in San Antonio. Had a nice time down there in March and April. As good as Goff might be, Gurley is the key to the offense. Don't disagree. Feel free to send in any other football questions, any hoops questions, college football, soccer, whatever you want to talk about. I saw a question about the Big 3. Yeah, Big 3 tonight. I'm taking Tri-State -4.5 against the Ghost Ballers. I believe they're playing Ghost Ballers. I mean, look, I love Tri-State. I picked them to win this competition. Yeah, Ghost Ballers. Yep. I don't know. I'll probably just stick to one play. I'm kind of just hoping that I can cash that to win the tournament bet. Big Ron, what's up? I can't wait for the new season and Big Man's picks. Thanks, Ahmed. Appreciate it. So yeah, by the way, guys, feel free to check out on Twitter. I did a podcast on my life and my how I got into all this and my childhood and just kind of talked openly about that. So feel free to check that out. You kind of get to know me a little bit more. We'll actually have some people on next week to chat about their connections and how they got involved as well. Just kind of run with that. It's not necessarily sports. We'll talk about anything. So yeah, going forward, I'll kind of take some time to address this whenever I can. Uh, Donnie and I are going to be joining forces for the football season and going forward. If you know anything about Donnie, him and I have been partnered up for a long time now, doing these shows. Donnie, if you also don't know, has his own service where he's done very well. Last year, he was a documented, I believe, and I want to I'm going to get this correct, so I'm going to look it up, but I believe he was a 75% NFL better, documented. Now, keep in mind, both of us don't go through a ton of plays. I think Donnie was like 50 plays. 75.5% he was 50 plays. So pretty impressive. You made a ton of money if you followed him. He had a good basketball season as well. I think he was 60% there. Look, him and I are very good with what we do. I mean, we both we both grind, we both hustle, we both put a ton of info out. So we're going to be doing that. He'll have the NFL stuff. We'll both do college football. I'll be with college basketball, obviously bringing that back. But listen, I mean, I gave a ton of free info last year. It's time to switch it up a little bit. So we're going to be offering it for $99.99. It's very, very cost effective. That's for both of us. $99.99, very, very cheap, very easy. You sign up. It's a monthly thing. You get the picks every day. And that's going to be the future. So, you're really paying for like our hard work and what we do. So, it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get him, you get me, you get the content that we're going to put out, and all that. So, Larry, when I get paid like Billy Walters, then I'll stop selling picks. Listen, I got to earn a living, man. I mean, I can't, I'm sure you don't go to your job and work for free. I have to, I have to make a living, and, it's just how it is. So, I think I've made it clear that I deserve it. So, thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. How are your picks on Twitter going? People have been complaining. I don't know that I see anyone ever complaining. It's funny, Big Ron. All my followers, they actually just go up every month. I mean, I don't know about your followers, but I mean, I have 300,000 profile visits this year, and my followers are up about 330 followers. So, I don't think anyone's complaining. And I mean, if you are, then go complain somewhere else. I don't really care. Well, you seem like you are, Bron. I mean, you seem like you are. So, what is the recommended bankroll and or bet size to warrant subscription, in your opinion? I mean, it's only $100. I mean, most people bet $100 a game. So, I mean, I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, I guess you could tell me. I mean, there's going to be plenty of plays. I guess you have to figure that out yourself. I could try to think about that a little bit more and get you an answer. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's not my profile, idiot. So maybe you should get to know whose profile. That's not my profile. So, listen, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I put out my World Cup record. I put up my basketball record. I don't need to prove. I can't control. Unfortunately, Twitter won't do anything about profiles that steal my information. So there's nothing I can do. I can block them and report them all I want. There's nothing that I can do about that, unfortunately. People put out bullshit. I don't know. That's the thing about Twitter. You can do anything you want and be anybody you want. The site will be up. I don't know. It's in its final stages. So I would say the middle of April, or not April, August. We'll go live September 1. So yeah, hopefully we'll get you guys to come aboard. So as far as not charging, I mean, look, I think it's pretty cost effective, frankly. I guess if I could say so myself. Plus, you're getting two people for one price. I mean, let's break down what people charge. Okay, there's people in the business that actually charge these prices. So let's go to this guy. Let's go to Anthony Red. Anthony Red's a handicapper. Let's see how much he charges per month because I'm curious. Anthony Red charges $999 a month. I'm charging you 10% of that price. He charges $1,000 a month, so he charges you $12K a year. And I'm sure I could handicap him to fucking sleep. Let's go to this guy, Jack Brayman, $1,000 a month again. Let's go over to Wager Talk, see what they got going on. Wager Talk is supposedly the number one in this business. Let's go to them. Let's see how much he charges. Brian Leonard, 30 days, $325. So, and you know what he charges for $99.99? You get a measly 7 days. Okay, so $325. Let's go to who else do we have here? Let's go to Marco D'Angelo, the king of Wager Talk. He charges $325 as well. Nothing wrong with those guys. Good people, I'm sure. But I'm charging basically a third of that. Do your thing, man. I mean, that's cool. Exactly. You're getting, and we're giving you two people. Okay, so let's add this up again. So $325. So they're charging basically $650 for the same exact program. We're giving it to you for $99.99. We're not looking to hurt anybody here. We're just looking to get compensated for what we do monthly. That's all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Exactly. Thank you, Kyle. Thanks, Matt. But so yeah, put a little perspective into it. You know, and that's kind of one of the reasons I did college hoops and the all the different stuff. I just gave you 7 units free and the summer league. So okay, let's put this into perspective. So college basketball 45 units, summer league 7 units. Okay, so let's say you just bet those at $100. I would have handed you $5,200. Yet I'm being questioned on, and no one's really. I'm just making this point. Thanks, Taylor. See you later, Big Ron. I'm sick of this guy. Get this guy out of here. Fuck off, Ron. Sit in timeout for a little bit. I'm sick of you asking the same bullshit questions. Oh yeah, that's right. Good point. On the Premier League show, the Premier League punters that I did with Sportsbook Review, we did every week of Premier League. I gave out picks for every game. Now let me break down my numbers on those. Okay, because I just wanted everyone to understand. Okay, so in Premier League, I gave out 280 picks over a 38-week season. Okay, the average price on those picks, plus 166. So I'm giving you big-time dogs on 1 unit plays. I made 50.5 units. I mean, anything else? Any other questions? So, I mean, if you want to, again, I'll always provide quality info, but I got to do what I got to do. So, yeah. So tonight, I don't know. I'll maybe take some shots. I'm going to run over to the bookie after this. I might take some shots with the Seattle Mariners on the first 5 minus a half, maybe the Cleveland Indians as well. don't go crazy with the card, guys. I mean, it's first day back from the All-Star break. Go easy. Lakers, looks like they've made another move, bringing in Michael Beasley, which I got to tell you, I like Michael Beasley. I always have. I know he's a bit of an interesting character, but I think he can help the Lakers. Another weird move, kind of a mid-tier guy. But I mean, I thought he was very good last year for the Knicks. I mean, 13 points a game, 6 boards, 51% from the field. I think Michael Beasley's a pretty good player. I mean, he's cheap too. I mean, you don't got to pay him much. So, I mean, look, they're still not going to beat the Warriors. So all these additions are just additions. So basically, your lineup is, you know, LeBron James, Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee, Lance Stevenson, Michael Beasley. No, I mean it's not going to be a starting lineup. I mean, there's a lot of players with the Lakers right now. I mean, this team. I mean, do they have to have way more people than they're allowed to have. All right, so let's look at their lineup. I guess their lineup would be Rondo, Caldwell Pope, LeBron, Ingram, and McGee. And then Stevenson, Kuzma, Wagner, Shvee, and Josh Hart will come off the bench. I guess that's what they're rotating. Lonzo Ball, too. I mean, Lonzo better understand. He's not starting. It's not going to happen. I agree, Scott. That's a good point. Hard knocks for basketball. That's a good point. It's an interesting team for sure. I mean, you got Lance Stevenson and his antics. Michael Beasley. LeBron's always interesting. Doesn't Stevenson remind you of J.R. Smith? Like just a kind of kind of just a dumb guy that is kind of like LeBron's sidekick a little bit. McGee will be a good player. He's always solid. But I'll tell you what, I hear a lot of people talking about the Pelicans. And look, I love Anthony Davis. Mirotic, a nice player. You like Drew Holiday, but that's a big loss losing Rondo. I mean, that's a big time loss. We'll see how they go. They also, I guess you get Julius Randle. That's a nice addition. Him and Davis. You're a pretty good point there. Front court there, but there's not a lot of depth in this team. Not at all. It's a 5-6 man rotation. Yeah, I said I the only game I like in the Big Three is Tri-State against Ghost Ballers. But yeah, it does have Circus written all over it for sure. Let's wrap it up here today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the Mishmash show. A lot of random things, but fun nonetheless. Good to hear from Blackjack Fletcher. I see he's doing well, so good to see him. And thanks to everyone for listening, the true fans and the true people. Check out the podcast I did on Spreaker. It's on my timeline. About my kind of life and how I get into the business and all that kind of thing. I'll be on with Gabe Morency tonight. Make sure you check that out. I'll be on with him around 11 o'clock Eastern. We'll go over all sorts of stuff. Couple of, whatever we get to talk about. Always fun with Gabe doing the random, prop bets and late soccer games. Oh, tonight, by the way, there are some friendlies tonight in big time soccer. You got Borussia Dortmund against Man City, and you have PSG against Bayern Munich. I don't hate the price on Man City. Keep in mind these are friendlies, so I don't ever like to get too deep and give out a ton of plays, but I don't think that's a bad play, Man City. I mean, you're getting about, I think, plus 190. 175, 180, not bad. Not a bad price, really. Maybe take a look at that. I believe that's at 9 o'clock tonight. So, yeah, I mean, leave that for what it's worth. Take it easy, Chris. Thanks for listening, man. See you, Brian. Thanks, Taylor. Take it easy, Larry, Matt, Sports with Scott, Ricardo. Hide and Zeke, Harold, what's up, man? Kyle, Armin, Brian, Artez. Thanks for listening. Have a great night. We'll see you all. Catch me with Gabe tonight. I'll be on with him on the SBR YouTube page. See you later.